Hi everybody, my name is Tamara Russell, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the overview of the body and mind training journey. Body and mind training is a unique way to approach mindfulness training. It's based on movement sciences, martial arts, and neuroscience. And particularly, we work with mindful movements as a way to help people really experience and understand what it is that we want to do with our mental movements in mindfulness through the body. So we work with the body, with movements, as a way to help people not only understand what they need to do, but also to prime those neural networks that we know are common across many of our cognitive functions: movement, the management of emotions, and the management of our mental movements, which are often called thoughts or cognitions or memories. So BMT grew up in the healthcare setting, working with people with physical and mental health challenges. But it's taught now to really anybody who has an interest in learning with and through the body and movement. So it's particularly helpful for anybody who might struggle to sit still, anybody who prefers to learn through their moving body, the wrigglers out there, those with attentional systems that are a little bit more speedy than others. And it really is an offering as an alternative way to go deeper into mind, body, and brain in a mindful way. You can find out more about body and mind training in my book, Mindfulness in Motion. This is the text that's been written thinking about the general public, the lay person, people just trying to go about their day-to-day lives. And you can find in that book information about the 5 themes that we explore. We explore pacing in the body, in the mind. We explore intentions, our intentions to move our body in day-to-day activities, and how that relates to our deeper intentions and habits and patterns of conditioning in the mind. Attention, of course, is a key element of mindfulness. So we have a section on attention, and the moving body is really great to anchor your attention, particularly if you're in a challenging moment, experiencing high distress, or have an attention system that needs to be stimulated in a certain way in order to really capture it and hold the attention. Paying attention to the moving body and using this as our anchor for our training also means that we can be training all the time, anywhere we are, whether it's walking from your desk to a meeting room, from your car to the front door, getting out of bed, walking to the kitchen, walking down the corridor. Anytime your body is in movement, you can tune in to the moving body and the sensations related to that as part of your mindfulness training. But because we come from a neuroscience and a movement sciences perspective, we go much deeper than just sensing the moving body. We really recognize that there's layers and layers of mental processing that are happening before we even feel the sensations of the moving body. So we're really interested in that in BMT, the intention to move, the impulse to move, the sections and segments of the movement that represent our conditioned automaticity in the movement system. And then, of course, the sensations of movement. Almost that's the end of that train or chain of mental processes. So we go pretty deep into this attention topic. We also explore habits. Much of our habitual behavior can be seen in our movements, how we are in the world, the things we move towards, the things we move away from, the speed at which we move towards things or away from things. And this becomes particularly important to consider the body and movement when we're looking at habits, because we live in a culture where we're primed all the time to do things and consume things that if we were really mindful, we might pause and check our intentions and notice how our attention has been captured and how habits are being built in our brain by marketing, media, somebody else's intentions other than our own. So a good example of this is how we're sort of manipulated in a way when we go to the supermarket. That's why having a list is one of the top tips for healthy eating. Having a list to really set your intentions about what you need to buy when you go into the supermarket, so you're less influenced by the sales, the offers, the bright colours, the branding, the packaging, all those things that have been designed to capture our attention and change our behavior. Literally change our behavior by making us reach out and grasp something that maybe wasn't on our list or wasn't even on our mind as something that we needed when we went into the shop. Now, of course, habits go much deeper than that, but these are very real world examples. And in BMT, we really want to stick close to the application of mindfulness, how we make choices about nourishing ourselves when we're in the supermarket, how we interact with technology, something that we know drains our attention, hijacks our intentions, really can have painful and difficult impact on our experience of ourself and our mood. So, even that slow motion phone reach is one of my top exercises that we love in BMT. It tells us everything about our attention, intentions, habits, motivations. And it's just something that we do every day, probably, 500 times, 100 times. Maybe that's a little experiment you can conduct. How many times a day do you reach for your phone? And of that number of times when you're reaching for your phone, how many times are you really choosing? You deliberately choosing to engage with that technology? That would be a great experiment. And the fifth theme of BMT then is compassion. Because let's just say that you did that experiment. How many times reaching for the phone? How many times did you choose? You might discover actually that maybe, half of those times, 3/4 of those times, it was a purely automatic response without awareness, without deliberate intention or choice. And maybe that unintended habitual action really pulled you off track because you had a report to write or some work to do or something to prepare, or you were planning to spend time with your child and actually you got lost scrolling through Facebook, caught up in WhatsApp activity. And when we see the reality of what this thing does when we're not paying attention to it, often we judge, or we become despondent or angry or upset or frustrated with ourselves. And this is where self-compassion comes in, because while all of those responses and reactions to seeing the reality of how we work are quite understandable, they just take us off in another loop that prevents us from seeing the real data, really understanding the chain of events that led to that scenario, and getting back to what's important. So while we want to honor and acknowledge that we're frustrated, angry, distressed, shocked a little bit when we see, the first movement after that is, wow, this is mind. This is how my brain operates in the real world environment. Wow. Wow. And then the application of kindness, self-compassion, like it's okay. It's not okay, I don't like it, but actually if I say, okay, pause, be kind, see clearly, this actually allows us to be more efficient with the management of our habits, the understanding of our habits, and the capacity to get back to what's important. So I often say to people that are reluctant or skeptical about self-compassion, just try it. How much brain energy do you use when you notice that you're getting caught in a judging, punitive, analytic, or frustrated mindset, versus when you can choose to say, okay, I see you mind getting busy with all of this stuff. And then I see the reaction. I see judging, and then I see judging the judging. Okay, that's 2 lots of judging that my brain is doing. What happens if we can quickly, promptly, and efficiently activate self-compassion and self-kindness? How much mental effort and energy does that bring? Does that use? So these are experiments, and we really love to consider ourselves as scientists in BMT. The habit session is sometimes called a PhD in me, understanding our mind-body system with an N of 1. We are the single subject that we're studying. And we commit to studying our own response, but actually we discover that there are some quite predictable things that the mind does, and we're not alone with these comparison, judging, planning habits. Everybody's got their own version of it. What it comes from and how we use it is different, but the patterns really are common. And once we can understand that, perhaps we can also be less hard on ourselves. So these are the 5 themes: pacing, intention, attention, habits, and compassion. And we de-chunk these. We explore all of these separately and sort of dive into them and see how they appear in our experience, in our life, in our context, so that we can then at the end bring them all together to have our own version of what is a mindful life. I can't tell you to copy my life, because my life is pretty unique, and I do many things that maybe you do or don't do. My circumstances are my own unique circumstances, so how I express the art of my mindful life may not be the same as you in your job or your family or your context or your country. BMT very much is context sensitive, but the principles of trying to slow down, to see more, trying to tune into what am I doing and why, really noticing what captures my attention and when I've got control over my attentional system and at what level I'm attending. The painful but sometimes joyously surprising process of uncovering mental habits and trying to work differently, and the challenges of being kind when we live in a world that often feels unkind. Those are the things that we'll be working on together in our own different contexts, and so we de-chunk in order to combine again and see where we're at after this exploration and after this mini training in how to be a scientist of our own body and mind. And this is a principle that comes from Tai Chi, separate to combine. It's a well-recognized movement sciences principle when we're trying to unlearn conditioned habits. And that's why I'm really passionate about bringing understanding from movement sciences and martial arts into this process of understanding the mental movements and the emotional movements and the heart movements, all of which form part of our experience. So that's body and mind training in a nutshell. And within those sessions and explorations, we have fun, we move the body, we share our experience, we get vulnerable. And it's really a journey of transformation that the only factor is how much do you want to explore? How much do you want to explore? And you don't need a cushion. You can explore it right now when you turn this video off and perhaps you reach for your cup of coffee or you move to another room. Can you go slow? Tune into intentions, pay attention, and be kind when you see habits and automatic ways of behaving in the world emerge, but get curious. So I wish you well on your journey, and if you like this video, please click subscribe. I'm going to be posting some more videos talking about body and mind and this methodology of training mindfulness in motion. Thank you so much. Take care.